As many South Africans await to hear President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address, the country has in the recent past had to grapple with the scourge of corruption. Now, this is having a dire impact on citizens and government's commitment to deliver services. While many promises have been made to fight corruption, the question remains whether any progress has been made. Newzroom Afrika's Mbali Thethani is following the story. Mbali, very good morning to you. I suppose it's quite important as we try and make sense of what the president will say this evening to really look at the impact of corruption and how that will be curbed.
That's certainly right, and Paul, of course, as the country anticipates the State of the Nation address that will be delivered by President Cyril Ramaphosa, you'd also remember that it is this administration that highlighted when President Cyril Ramaphosa came into office, saying that one thing that he will certainly deal with is the issue around corruption. And we know time and time again it is something that strongly comes out of his State of the Nation address. But really, we're here to look at, what progress has been made in terms of this country when it comes to rooting out corruption. We are now joined by Wayne Duvenage. He is indeed from Outer. Wayne, when we look at the State of the Nation address, one thing that the president always highlights is the issues around corruption. You are somebody that follows problems of corruption in this country. What are your expectations as Outer when it comes to the president and outlining programs that come out when it comes to dealing and rooting out corruption?
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Look, I think we should rename this the State of Stagnation address. I like Bongani Bingwa's encapsulation of that this morning. It is a serious matter because the president got his ticket into this new role that he took and removed Jacob Zuma on the back of an anti-corruption stance and strategy. 4 years in now, or 3.5 years, very little has happened. Of course, he's introduced the National Anti-Corruption Advisory Council, but it took a very long time to get here. Hopefully some real good work comes of that, but we don't have the luxury of waiting to take so long to root out corruption. There is clear evidence across many sectors in this country where corruption is, and every day it's getting worse, not better, especially at provincial and local government level. So we need to have a concerted effort and a lot of resources put into the NPA, the Special Investigations Unit, the Assets Forfeiture Unit. We should be so much further down the line than where we are. So while we're starting to turn the corner, it's too little and maybe too late to arrest what we see is, ingrained and entrenched systemic corruption that is taking place with big organizations now.
And of course, when you look at the impact of corruption, one would say that when you look at the outcomes of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry and the load-shedding crisis that we are faced with now, it is those service delivery challenges that government then tackles when it comes to, the impact of corruption.
Well, exactly, and we don't have an updated IRP. This sits in the Minister of DMRE's lap for some years now, and unless you have an integrated resource plan to which government can work to plan for our energy security going forward, we're never going to sort out this energy crisis. We have too much political meddling. When Under de Ruyter came in to take over manager Eskom, they were tapping him on the shoulder to make sure that the increases were there, that the retrenchment processes didn't take place because it wasn't good for votes. So we still see a lot of political interference in all of these SOEs, and we cannot have that if we're going to deal with corruption and tackle it meaningfully, especially at local government. What we would like to see in this Sona speech today is what are they doing? Just all these wastewater treatment plants that are broken, municipalities are broke, they don't have an interest to fix it. It's a crime, it's a criminal offence to allow sewage to flow into our rivers, and yet there's no accountability. So the President has indicated in the past, let's work with civil society, but we've seen no demonstration of that. Let's bring business on board. He invites them on board, but when big business engages with the DTI and other departments to fix things like the rail system, the rail services and all that, nothing really happens. So the political will is still not there. We've got a lot of solutions as civil society and business for this government, but if they don't want to come to the party and engage, then we have to find ways to manage this ourselves, and that's not a good place for this country to be in.
Taking it back to State Capture Commission of Inquiry, Wayne, one would say that there were names mentioned, like the names of the Mineral Resources Minister, Gwede Mantashe, of course, Zizi Godwa, and the likes of Nomvula Mokonyane. What does that say about the president and whether he takes the fight against corruption seriously when he has some people in his cabinet and even those in the top 7 of the ANC?
Well, it says a lot. It says that he's not serious about fighting corruption. They are compromised. There's a political party, the ANC is compromised because it doesn't deal with people who have low ethics in dealing with matters of corruption, matters of maladministration, matters of conflicts of interest. We really need to see the president to exercise leadership, to sit down with his party and say, we cannot have these people on board because it is baggage, it drags us backwards. And what it does do is it distances society from government. So if you look at the Edelman Trust Barometer, South Africa is the lowest trust in its government, in those ratings, and it doesn't get any better while you have people who are tainted, people who have acted dubiously and out of the interest, not in the interest of the public, remaining in senior positions in the ANC.
And lastly, he himself has a lot to answer to, especially to the public, when it comes to the Phala Farm scandal.
Yeah, absolutely. And we need to get that out on the table. He's now head of the ANC for the next 5 years, but we still need answers. That cannot just be swept under the carpet. So, yeah, we need this president to take the fight against corruption seriously and to start listening to civil society and business. If he can demonstrate that meaningfully, not just in lip service, then maybe the trust starts to gain, but we need action now.
Thank you very much. That is Wayne Duvenage. They're talking about their expectations as civil society when it comes to the State of the Nation address, saying that their call is to the president that he needs to take civil society groups very seriously and, of course, be efficient when it comes to their promises when it comes to rooting out the scourge of corruption in this country.
Very well, Mbali. Let's continue on this end to really get some insight on civil rights organization Action Society. There, Mbali Thethani giving us the latest on the expectations ahead of the State of the Nation address. Now,